Welcome back to Chatterbox,
the show that's for the community, by the community.
And as part of that philosophy, we've included a new page on our website. It's called Suggest a Segment.
Fully, or my name isn't fully.
All you have to do to get involved is to click on that page that says Suggest a Segment.
And suggest a segment, simple as chocolate.
And who knows, maybe your idea would be featured on next month's episode.
Just like this next feature coming up.
We call it Real to Real. It explores the behind-the-scenes look onto movie making.
Yes, this sounds real to really fun.
And you sound real to really lame.
This month's episode, we're going to be looking at lighting. And welcome to Real. Here we've got Varna and Ben in the studio, and we're going to be talking to them about lighting. So Ben, tell us a bit about lighting.
Well, I mean, lighting's a really important part of the filmmaking process. I would say together with audio and performance management, lighting is probably the next biggest important thing other than hitting the record button. Look, lighting is a really important part, and we've got a whole different series of lights, up to about 7 different types of grade that have different functions.
Okay, and what are the different grades and what makes them special?
Well, there are all sorts of different lights. What have we got, Varna? We've got diodes, we've got fluoros,
we've got kinos, we've got LEDs,
redheads,
blondies, HMIs.
Redheads and blondies?
That sounds like hairstyles or something. How come they call those?
I think they're just nicknames for that particular light. Redheads are around 800 watts, and they've painted red in the back.
Okay.
And they're also tungsten, aren't they? We actually have 2 forms of lighting. There's blue lighting, which we call daylights.
That's right.
And red lighting, which is called tungsten. And they're designed to create different moods, as well as take away shadow, obviously.
This one here operates at daylight. So if we wanted to convert that to tungsten, we need to put like a gel like that, which creates it into tungsten. And the reason why we convert light is so we could balance whatever the main light is. So right now, we're being lit by daylight. And if I put on the orange light is going to stick out.
Ah, okay. And so how do you know what lights to use in what situations?
Well, if you look outside, if you go outside, the sun is daylight. So it's about 5,600 kelvins. That's what the unit of measurement.
Okay, kelvins.
So in order for us to make sure that the light is consistent with each other, you need to match all your lights to daylight.
So for example, if I've got a Caucasian person sitting next to me, how do you light us up to get a natural sort of feel?
Well, look, it's really a process of trial and error. You need to adjust the lighting according to the 3 depths of field in your frame. We've got the foreground, we've got the midground, and we've got the background. And you'll notice in the set today, we've got, about 10 different lights, and each one of them are focused on the 3 different fields. So in answer to your question, it's literally moving it until we get the light right on you and right on whoever your co-subject is.
Other question I had is, like, what are those funny things that you put in front of the lights? They look like cellophane or something?
They're called gels, and we also have diffusers.
Diffusers. That's just, when you go out into the sun, if you get harsh, intense light, you're going to create shadows across your face. Okay. And, sometimes it is intentional. Harsh shadows could create an intense mood or a scary mood. But when you soften up light, you look more radiant, you look more prettier.
That's always good.
Yeah, that's right. So it's to diffuse and soften up the face or the subject.
The sun is always the best form of lighting, and the time to shoot is always from about 8 a.m. in the morning to 10 a.m. in the morning, and again from about 4 till 6. If we've got a cloudy day, perfect lighting. Never shoot under direct sunlight in midday because you're just going to cast shadows.
How important are reflectors?
Very.
Well, reflectors is just another form of artificial light. You're just reflecting, you're generating light from another light source. So if you've only got 1 light and you need 2 lights, use a reflector to create that other source.
Well, that sounds like I could save some money.
Exactly.
Now look, I think that's all we have time for, and that's the end of Real to Real for this week.
Lights.
Camera, action. Coming up next, we're going to be joining some of the young men and women that are joining the Australian Defence Force.
Particularly the culturally diverse young people in our army.
But the big question is, does the cultural diversity represented in the army also represent the cultural diversity in wider Australian society?
And if it does, how do these new recruits feel about the possibility of one day fighting against their countries of origin?
And to think that they said that Chatterbox doesn't tackle the big community issues.
Whoever said that?
Well, someone did, right? And whoever they are, they're wrong.
Well, to completely change the pace, join Ben, who meets the young men and women in our army.
That's right, thank you, Vuli and Aisha. Nestled in the heart of the CBD that is Parramatta is the Defence Force Recruitment Office. And today, Chatterbox is very honoured to be able to witness the event that is their weekly enlisting day. That's the day where new recruits officially join the Army in their initiation ceremony. This being Chatterbox, we thought we'd take a different angle on this, and we're going to have a look at the cultural diversity and multiculturalism within today's Defence Force. Because remember, it wasn't too long ago that if you weren't white, you weren't welcome in the Army. Today, that's a whole different story.
We get a large diversity of different backgrounds that come through Defence Recruiting, and we're an equal opportunity employee here at Defence Recruiting, and regardless of religion or race or your background, you can go through the Defence Recruiting and become a member of the Australian Defence Force.
1 in 10 people who go through the recruiting process to join the Defence Force make it through. So you were in that top 10% who have made it through today, so congratulations.
My job here is to assess the eligibility of candidates into the Defence Force. So basically I give them their final interview and decide whether or not they should be enlisted into the service.
Do you think it's important that the Army represents the balance that is multicultural in Australia?
I mean, it's the Australian Army, so I mean, with the Australian Army you get the multiculturalism that is Australia, so absolutely, yeah.
All the boys can, learn from each other, different backgrounds and stuff, so yeah, plenty of things to learn.
I think over the last 20 years it's probably been more of a trend than what it has been in the past. And I think it's a great thing because our country is very diverse and it shows the diversification.
Because my grandson was in cadets and there was many nationalities in that and they all get along and all support each other and it's good to see.
We are a multicultural nation and this is our country. If you're whatever culture you are, you live in this country, this is our country.
Being a part of the Australian Defence Force is being, patriotic to our country and looking after our nation. Obviously the people that apply to be in the Australian Defence Force want to give back to Australia. I think in going over and supporting Australia's interests in the nation, in the international scene, isn't necessarily taking away from their origins and their heritage. I mean, we are only a small percentage of the community, but I think the current members within the Australian Defence Force in all 3 services reflects the percentage of the multiculturalism in Australia.
As I say, good guys, bad guys. Doesn't matter what nationality they are. If we believe that the cause is right, doesn't matter who's on the other side. Simple as that.
My son is born in Australia, this is his country. And at the end of the day, I hope he doesn't have to fight anywhere. It's very sad for a mum to see her child go.
Hey, Aisha, to be honest, I've always been a bit sceptical of the Army. I mean, it seems that training each other to go overseas and shoot guns at each other is just wrong.
I understand exactly what you're talking about, but yet again, if we were to be invaded, you'd change your mind.
But we live on the same planet, don't we?
Yet there is not a day that goes by on our planet where there isn't a war going on.
But wouldn't it be great if the wars could just end?
Speaking of the end, it's that sad part of the show.
That's true. Next up on Chatterbox, it's going to be the best because we are going to the Blues Fest.
May I?
Go ahead.
In May, we're changing gears with Australia's volunteers.
Hey, nice one. And we're talking to a very special multicultural arts forum known as Groundswell.
I wouldn't want to miss that.
Neither would I, but even if you did, you could go to www.chatterboxshow.tv and catch it anyway.
Don't forget to like us on Facebook. My name is Aisha Kamara.
And I'm William Kunanzi, and you've been watching
Chatterbox. See ya!
Telling everybody that you mix with the best. Frankie Valli, Tony Bennett, and all the rest. Seeing you sip of whiskey on the corner of Vine. All your friends busy most of the time. Do you tell me you can croon a tune in heaven above, but you're killing me softly with love, love, love. I don't know what y'all would say, it wouldn't be nice. I'm asking you kindly, don't sing it twice. But 1, 2, 3, 4. Won't be no stay.